Let's talk about the GOAT conversation. A conversation that I think is overrated and that, for the most part, most people shouldn't really have. Here's why: just because we didn't get to see all the players. We just didn't. For example, me being fairly young, I didn't see no Kareem, I didn't see no MJ, no Magic, no Bird. So, other than highlights and analyzing, I guess, the resumes of these players, does my opinion really holds any weights when it comes to saying MJ is better than LeBron or LeBron is better or Kobe or whatever? Not really. I can say that, in my opinion, the greatest player I've ever gotten to see up close was LeBron James. But I'm not going to argue anyone who thinks different. I'm just not. So the reason why we're making this video is an overall reaction to that Stephen A. Smith, AI, Shaq, and Rashad McCants discussion centered around does Kobe belong in the GOAT conversation or does he not? So for those of you who don't remember what happened, here's the rundown. Allen Iverson shared these top two players, and he said that he had Michael Jordan as the GOAT and that he would have Kobe number two. For whatever reason, Stephen A. jumped out to his podcast and pretty much came at AI and was like, how could you? Kobe does not belong in that conversation. He's not number two. To that, Rashad McCants, who's an ex-basketball player in the NBA, he played for 4 years, and he's a part of the Gills Arena. He has a lot of controversial takes on there, but I just like him on the show just because he brings a perspective that's although crazy. It's entertaining to see these guys reacting to what he has to say sometimes. And I guess he had a close bond with Kobe Bryant, so he took to the podcast to actually defend the fact that Kobe, if you take away the stats, should be number two, and that most of the players who play the game would actually have Kobe over LeBron James. Shaq also had an interview with Stephen A. Smith, and on that interview, he said that he wanted his brother to be in the conversation, that he wasn't going to tell us who's the GOAT, but that Kobe belonged in the conversation. So he had this short debate back and forth with Stephen A. Smith, and then Stephen A. Smith took back to his podcast and pretty much called McCants an idiot. He said that he had no damn clue what he was talking about and that Kobe shouldn't be in there. To that, McCants went back to Gil's Arena and just said, shout out to the promo, thanks for the promo, whatever, Kobe is my number two, because he repeated his old point that Mike was number one and then Kobe was the best player he's ever seen playing basketball. So here's my thoughts on this whole thing. So I watched the whole response that Gil, Rashad McCants, Kenyon Martin, and them I had about this whole thing, and Gil made the most sense in my opinion because a lot of players, I don't think they're all the way honest when it comes to the GOAT conversation because they'll love to dismiss the stats. They'll dismiss the stats and they'll say that it's pretty much made up matrix by people who don't understand the game or people who didn't have to guard those players, which is fair to some extent. And then they'll say, my GOATs will be the best basketball players. And the reason I think they're not all the way honest is because if we are just going by skill set or eye test, these GOAT lists would look totally different. LeBron James is my favorite player, but if I'm going just off eye test and skills, meaning handles, bag, jump shooting ability, foul shot, I don't know, all that kind of stuff, LeBron James should not be in the top five. I would have guys like T-Mac above him. I feel like guys like KD would enter the conversation and be in top fives. These kind of talents that just never made those conversations. No one would. Most people, I'm not going to say no one, but most people would not hold LeBron James in such high regards if we were to dismiss the resume. So even for the players to be like, okay, I got Mike and Kobe number 1 and 2, and then I have LeBron number 3, just because of eye test, it's kind of disingenuous. So they know good and well that resume does matter. And actually, this is what we're ranking. And this is why most lists have LeBron James that high, is of resume. And I don't think you should dismiss that. Because this is what matters. When you were in the league, what were you able to accomplish? And LeBron James, I don't know if he should be the GOAT or not, but it's undeniable that the man's resume is insane. 21 years of longevity, 4 rings, 4 MVPs, 4 finals MVPs, all-time leading scorer, finished top 10 in assists, and all that stuff that you guys know about. Michael Jordan, same. 6 rings, 10 scoring titles, defensive player of the year, 6 finals MVPs, and I can keep going. This is why these guys are so high. And a lot of guys also like to run to, rings. How many rings you got? And we all know that that's not the only matrix. Because, again, if it was, then we would all have Bill Russell number 1, and then we would work our way down from here. But we start with Michael Jordan. So we all know that this has to be a whole bundle of all that things. Resume, eye test, skill sets, impact, all that stuff matters. So I say all that to say that although LeBron James is the greatest player I've ever seen, I wouldn't even call him a GOAT because I didn't see all the other greats, so how could I? But I feel like some names should matter in those conversations no matter what. And I don't see why a guy like Kobe Bryant wouldn't belong in that conversation if you look at the whole thing. It fits when it comes to eye test. It fits when it comes to resume. It fits when it comes to accolades. So for someone to argue Kobe, even if you disagree, the man belongs in the conversation. He just does. So now my next question is why with Stephen A. Smith? And he's not the only one. I feel like throughout the years, ever since Kobe kind of fell off of his prime, it's been like this conscious effort to push Kobe as far as possible away from these GOAT conversations. And I've always asked myself why. Because again, I do rank LeBron James above Kobe. But if you listen to some of these guys in the media, it's like LeBron is like at 1 or 2 and Kobe is barely top 10, which makes no sense. This is a very, very close debate, in my opinion. We're looking at 5 rings for Kobe in 20 years to 4 rings for LeBron in 20 years. So advantage Kobe. Kobe was the better defender. And then you have 4 MVPs for LeBron, to 1 MVP for Kobe, 4 finals MVPs to 2 finals MVPs for Kobe, and I can keep going. But I think if we're all being honest, regardless of who you like over the other, I don't think that there should be more than 2-3 spots of separation between those two guys. So now the question would be why the media is making that conscious effort, and is it just targeted at Kobe? And to that, I don't think so. Here's my theory. The media, especially since we've introduced like this whole format of we need to do sports debates and not just sports reporting, it's really be centered around storylines. And we always needed to have that confrontation between one side and the other when we actually schedule, I don't know why I'm saying we, but when they actually, come up with these shows. And you'll have one side arguing one side, the other side arguing the other side, and they'll clash. And although we don't always come with a winner, it's on the audience to decide which side actually won the debate every time. And this is why ever since Michael Jordan and Kobe came in the league, at first it was Jordan versus Kobe. Who do you have? And then once LeBron came in the league, and with the whole chosen one thing, which was genius marketing, the media kind of picked up on LeBron, and it was like, okay, so we have this guy that's so promising, that reports having all-star level, even while he was still in college and everything. This is the guy that's going to rival Michael Jordan, and we're going to oppose every steps that LeBron took against Michael Jordan's. And for it to make it even epic, we're just going to kind of leapfrogging above everybody. And this is going to be the guy, because LeBron James should be the news story for the next 10 to 20 years. And this is just that. And there's been this conscious effort to just push that duality of LeBron James versus Michael Jordan just because it sells. Jordan has been retired for, he retired in the late 90s, early 2000s. So over 20 years ago. And you'll still see at least one GOAT debate on live TV a week, at least. So it's just because that story sells. Same with LeBron, actually. They do that a lot. Like when LeBron was in his prime and really running through the league, individually, there was no competition for LeBron James. There just was none. LeBron James' competition used to be whole teams. It used to be, okay, can LeBron take down the Celtics? Can LeBron take down the Spurs? Can LeBron take down the Warriors? But there wasn't really a player until Stephen Curry really came in who I actually looked at and I was like, Is he actually on LeBron's level? Or is he a threat to the quote unquote crown? But just because the media needs to sell a lot, they would always push one guy and it'd be like, okay, so KD is overtaking LeBron. Kawhi is overtaking LeBron. Who else? They did it with Kobe, even when Kobe was kind of falling off. At some point, it was a conversation, but when Kobe was off his prime, they kept on having the argument, and it didn't make sense anymore. They did it with Giannis when he started to dominate. Obviously, Steph. Every time the media has to take one guy and oppose it to the other just to sell, and I feel like it kind of takes away from the genuinity of these conversations, and then we end up with bullshit like this with a guy like Kobe who clearly put the work in to be in GOAT conversations, regardless of if you have him there or not, ending in these conversations and being disrespected and just thrown away. And I don't think it's fair to these players. It's not fair to Kobe, obviously. And even when LeBron James retires, if Wembanyama, for example, lives up to the hype, we are going to start to see this. A lot of people were trying to dismiss and discredit LeBron James all of a sudden because we need another guy to argue for the GOAT conversation. And I just don't think it's right. So Stephen A. Smith, at this point, is part of the system, right? So I don't think it's just a Stephen A. problem. It's just a media problem. And the media, just for storylines, they will discredit anyone. So right now it's Kobe. I believe it's going to be LeBron James, and whomever after that is coming will replace LeBron James as the new media darling that we're going to push against Michael Jordan. So anyways, these are my thoughts about this whole thing. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. But more importantly, get in that comment section and give me your thoughts. If you have a GOAT list, drop it. We can talk about it. Let's not get upset over it. Like, it's really irrelevant. But yeah, let's talk about your GOAT list. And drop your theory on why is the media actually pushing Kobe so far away from these GOAT conversations. Appreciate you guys for checking me out, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.